Hi everybody, and welcome to Charger 360, telling the stories of the University of New Haven. I'm J.W. Stewart along with Bruce Barber. Bruce, it's great to see you.
Great to see you, J-Dub.
Bruce, you know Charger 360 has really become popular when you're starting to get fan mail and people are reaching out wanting to be on the show.
That's right, incredible. I couldn't believe it when I opened this email and our guest today had written and said what a huge fan of Charger 360 he was, which endeared me to him immediately, and I know the same is true of you.
Well, we'd like to welcome Michael Iliopoulos. Michael, it's great to meet you. Thanks for being here on Charger 360, and thanks for reaching out to Bruce and myself.
No, I appreciate you both. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it means a lot to you watch the show.
You know what jumped off the page when Michael, Michael, we have to talk about the fact that you're a military veteran and cybersecurity student from Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah.
But let's jump right to the fun stuff.
Absolutely.
J-Dub. What do you say?
Absolutely. So this is a popular show, right? You like Charger 360, but it's nowhere in comparison to Wheel of Fortune for you, Michael. Is that correct?
That's right. I mean, yeah, small fan base here, but you know, national, even international fan base with Wheel of Fortune.
Please tell us the story. You were a contestant not all that long ago on Wheel of Fortune. Please tell us that story.
Yeah, well, it's been a childhood dream of mine since I was a kid, and that inspiration actually came from a Connecticut native by the name of John Carpenter. He's actually from Hamden, and he was the first ever $1 million winner on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. So from that moment as a kid, that really sparked my interest with game shows, and my family tried for Family Feud, even though we weren't considered the typical American family, but who is? Jeopardy could never make it past the second round of quizzing, but you have to know everything and anything. But word games came easy to me, and been applying since I was 18 years old, and 11 years later finally got on the show and show the real world what they've missed.
That is incredible. Let me tell you something. We do have the most interesting students, I believe, of any educational organization on the planet. So tell us what the experience was like being on the wheel.
Yeah, it was great. I was a member of the studio audience, so I've seen how big it actually is, and it's not that big, no bigger than an elementary size school gym. But you do all this preparation because you only have one opportunity. Returning champ stopped back in 1998, so I did like a self-designed Wheel of Fortune boot camp with over 300 crossword puzzles and all the missed opportunities from contestants in the past. So it's your national championship game. It's not like the World Series where if you lose game one, I can come back in game two and game three to steal back the momentum. So the only way was to win big, and to represent the Navy in uniform and to be the winningest uniform contestant in show's history is something I could talk about for the rest of my life.
Well, let's keep talking about it here on the show. What year was this that you were involved and got on Wheel of Fortune?
Yeah, it aired February 1st of 2022, so I think about the Bone Thugs and Harmony song, First of the Month, so it has a little more meaning to me there.
Wow, it's like an anniversary now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But you were telling us before we went on the air that you taped it a few months prior, and it was during COVID. Like, what was that whole situation like? Because you had been a member of the studio audience, you said before, but this time around there was no studio audience, right?
That's right. So the contestants were the audience. We were all spaced out. We had to clap and make up for 200 people that would be in the audience. But it's a little quieter, but at the end of the day, the gameplay doesn't change. So being a contestant and seeing everything for what it is now, playing behind the wheel, is that, you know, coming off that bench moment as a player, like, you know, put me in, coach, and now I'm finally in.
That's amazing. That's just incredible. So let's hit rewind a little bit, and let's talk about where you're from, and tell us a little about your path to this wonderful university we have here.
Yeah, born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio, so grew up in the Midwest, and then with the military, I was stationed out of San Diego. So when I decided to get out, I really wanted to have a different region and change up the scenery. So I was looking at Mountain West and the South, but New England really spoke to me. And then looking at schools, we have the military-friendly rankings out there, and UNH has been a top 10 and really a gold standard for military veterans. So to see what the cybersecurity curriculum has with not just the courses, but our faculty, as well as, you know, people like Ryan Noonan, Kyla Kaluki, and the VA Work Study team. And those are kind of the unsung heroes with community that they have provided for us as student veterans. So coming to UNH, being accepted, felt like a no-brainer to me, and just really wanted to start it, the next chapter of my life in the New England region.
Well, as a U.S. Navy veteran, we thank you for your service,
Thank you for
certainly,
caring.
first and
Thank you.
foremost. Where are you with regard to completing your program here at UNH?
Yeah, so I'm in my last semester of school, and the past two summers, my first internship was at General Dynamics Electric Boat. So that was another thing about this school, where you're in between big areas of New York and Boston, and as well as the defense industry. But there's kind of this stereotype of veterans where we serve the nation, then we become defense contractors and live our lives there. But after the internship, and I had a great time in Electric Boat, I really want to see what else was out there. And so that's how I got into the consumer packaged goods area with Clorox and had a great time there and learned a lot as well. So right now, I'm in my last semester of school. So just finishing strong and running towards that finish line.
So we like to use this as an opportunity for our students and our faculty members to kind of let prospective students, and so this would be potentially let prospective students from the military know why this is a good place to be. So kind of what's your pitch?
Yeah, well, I came from a Division I school undergrad, and I really wanted to go to a smaller school where we weren't kind of left out and, oh, we're just a number. And again, the veteran community here is really established. Even the VA with our healthcare, one of the top in the nation. I've had 0 complaints with all the visits that I have. So there's that. And payments, I know that's critical with like the GI Bill or Voc Rehab or whatever we use. And One Stop has been so clutch here, where you just walk across to the next building. I'm not taking a school bus or hiking, from here to Orange or even Milford by foot. So everything is within arm's reach, and the community here has been great.
I think the VA, if I remember correctly, is just down the road from us, right? In West
It
Haven
is,
here?
yes.
That's
Yeah.
down Campbell Ave.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you graduate in May, what are your plans after graduation?
Well, I have a full-time offer with Clorox I've accepted with their cybersecurity engineering position, so just grateful. But I tell people that when you get into that internship role, one lost time is never found again, so just give everything that you have and really make connections. I know with this generation with AI, we kind of still have that human element that I've loved as a kid growing up in the 90s and playing outside. So I just found ways to really connect with people, and I know a lot of companies go hybrid or fully remote, but I've always loved to meet people in person like we're doing here.
Well, I would just like to say, Michael, obviously in your career path, you have cleaned up. Sorry.
No, it's good.
We can't wipe away that comment that Bruce just made.
Let me tell you, I love the Clorox products, quite frankly. I like things clean.
Well, it's more than wipes and bleach, believe it or not. So if you imagine the Family Feud board of top Clorox products that people didn't know. So number 1, we have Hidden Valley Ranch.
Really?
Really?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. Number 2, Kingsford Charcoal. You have
Wow.
Brita water filters. There's Glad trash bags, Burt's Bees. I'm trying to remember this all. Pine Saw, and then for your cat lovers out there, Fresh Step cat litter.
You get the employee discount. You're never going to leave your house again. That's incredible.
Yeah, it comes in
That's
handy.
great.
Where will your job be? I actually don't know. Is Clorox here in Connecticut?
It's not, so it'll take me down into the Research Triangle area down in North Carolina.
Okay.
So let's talk a little about the fact this is, it's so fascinating. You're quite the human. You describe yourself as a thrill seeker, someone who's done skydiving, bungee jumping, raced a Lamborghini and a NASCAR vehicle.
Yeah.
So where shark dived, flew a stunt and did 8.5 Gs without passing out, and completed an ultra marathon. J-Dub, I'm lucky if I can make it from my car to my office.
Yeah, Michael Iliopoulos is the most interesting man
Yes, he is.
in the world,
I try.
apparently, right now. Game show contestant, Navy veteran, UNH student, all these things. This is unbelievable. We don't have enough time, but we'll see what we can get in here. Take us through, of all the thrill-seeking stuff that you've done, what's been your favorite and why?
Well, it's a lot. I tell people with bucket lists, take advantage of your geographic region, and being in New England, like things like snowmobiling. The shark diving was actually in Long Island Aquarium, so there's so many things out here. Even if you're a sports fan, Fenway Park and the Garden are worth seeing. So I just, if it pumps the adrenaline, I'm all for it, but, you only have one opportunity at things, and you just never know if you're going to come back to the region. The bucket list started out because when I was at Cincinnati, the one thing I regret not doing was seeing the Kentucky Derby. And that just sparked, everything that I wanted to do. Other than the game show contestant, my favorite thing was probably hanging off the edge of a skyscraper. I know that wasn't listed, but that's in New York City. Just because it's 1,200 plus feet. It's the world's largest outdoor ascent with the stairs when you look at the photos. But something hit me. There was a lady in our group. She said, wow, people jumped, to their death on 9/11, when the World Trade Center was there. So that all hit me as a kid, like seeing 9/11 as a kid, and one of my relatives saw the plane turn around in the air. He used to work in downtown Cleveland. That was United 93 that crashed into Shanksville, PA. So to go up that height, I was already committed. I paid, to get on the train. I wasn't backing out. But to lean over the edge and to lean back and to see the New York skyscrapers like that was pretty unbelievable.
So was this something that just as a child you were just like this, and then was part of it that I assume you had to have been, kind of this way, and then did that kind of lead you towards choosing the Navy?
Well, I think with choosing a branch, I had a relative in the Air Force, but I really want to trailblaze my own legacy. Even though the Top Gun series are my favorite movies, that's not the reason why I went. Again, it stems back to 9/11 when, as a kid in 3rd grade, you see that happen. So you want to give back to the world, or give back to the United States. So there's that. But I was never like that as a kid. I was
Really?
voted most studious in high school. I was quiet. I wasn't among the popular kids. But once I got out of undergrad, that's when I started doing things like seeing the national championship game in Indianapolis when Coach K won his last title in his career. And there's like a whole section of sports, the thrill-seeking activities, and even places I want to see in the world. So it stemmed after undergrad and while I was in the military.
I'm curious to learn more about flying the stunt plane, because you said you were in the Navy, but you served on a ship. You were not a Navy pilot. So tell us the story about being in the stunt plane and doing 8.5 Gs.
Sure, so that was out in San Diego, and there's that scene in Top Gun Maverick where he's flying the G-forces and it's starting to get tunnel vision. Well, the pilot tells you with the stunt plane that I flew is you squeeze your legs and your core. If you start to squeeze your upper body, that's where you're starting to, that tunnel vision it's starting to close much faster. So what's cool is you fly up in the air, they do the maneuvers in the back, now you take control and do that. And then you see how many Gs you could do, and then 8.5 Gs is the max that they go to.
Wow.
So I guess my call sign is Maverick, if that's a thing.
What does 8.5 Gs feel like? How would you describe that to somebody?
It's kind of surreal. I grew up with roller coasters as a kid with Cedar Point, and there's actually, like being in North Carolina over the summer, just in Virginia, you have King's Dominion, and there's a roller coaster where when you're starting to hit the curve, that's where the G-forces, and people get G-locked. There's always EMS and medical staff at the end of every ride because someone has passed out or maybe gotten sick in the worst case scenario. So you're trying to fight, going to sleep. I wouldn't even compare it to like going under anesthesia, like, oh, I'm about to fall asleep, but you still have control. You're still pushing yourself to the limit. I kind of relate it to the ultra marathon because the races strip you down to nothing, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna quit, I have nothing left, just like the G-force is acting on you. So you fight through it.
Wow, I'm a fan.
Yeah.
I'm a fan, Michael. So we just have a little time left, and maybe a good idea would be to, as opposed to having a faculty staff member be a fan of a student, how about you as a student? Is there someone here on campus in cybersecurity and networks that you've really become a fan of?
Well, I think it's just faculty as a whole. I think it started out with my first set of professors in the first semester where it hits you hard. There's There's this misconception with veterans that once we get out, the jobs are waiting. People are knocking on your door, hey, we have this job, and that's not true. You really have to make your own path. And one of my professors told me that just because you have that piece of paper at the end of the day at school, what matters is the knowledge, regardless if you had a 4.0 GPA or not. So you really have to trailblaze your own legacy, and the first semester is the foundation with grades and where you want to take your career, and really having that questioning attitude in the cybersecurity world, because it's an ever-changing landscape.
I know we're not Pat Sajak and Vanna White, but we appreciate you being on our show, Michael.
That means a lot. Thank you.
I'll let you figure out who's Pat and who's Vanna.
Oh, man. It's a tie.
Oh, J-Dub, I just love you. I just love you.
Keep spinning the letters there, Bruce. Michael Iliopoulos, thank you.
Oh, thank you,
Michael
guys.
Iliopoulos, thanks for joining us here on Charger 360. And if you're a fan of the show and would like to be a guest on the show, please email bbarber@newhaven.edu or jstewart@newhaven.edu.
I do believe I'm also going to get the email address vanna@newhaven.edu.
For Michael and for Bruce, I'm J-Dub. Thanks so much for watching Charger 360, telling the stories of the University of New Haven. We'll see you next time, everybody.